Hi, this is On Imagination with the Healing Garden. Thank you for joining me for Subconscious Dialogues. So, I don't know what I put in my title to this video. I think I just put a whole bunch of stuff. I don't even know. Let me go back and take a look here. Resonate, authentic living as I am. Yeah, I'm kind of improvising it. What I want to do is get a jar and fill it with ideas and randomly pull out of the jar, and whatever topic I pull out is what I'm talking about, because that's where I'm at, where I have ideas and I'm like, I can just put it in the jar. So I think I'm at a place where I just want to do exploratory dialogues right now. I just want to think and ruminate. I want to ponder, but I don't ponder like silently. No, I ponder verbally, like in your face. I have a lot of things that I just bring together. I have a lot of anger still. Not much. It's definitely going away. And I'm still learning my boundaries. I'm in 9-8. I'm going to be in 9-8 a little bit longer. And then I'll be 9-9. I'll stabilize. But I definitely have that. My boundaries work. The thing is, and there is a subtle art. This isn't a refined art to people coming in and pushing their perspectives on you, and you needing to be mindful enough to say, excuse you, but you're crossing my boundaries and you need to keep your perspective off of me, which I am now in the habit of saying, keep your perspective off of me. And when I use those words, my anger goes right down, which is how anger works. You get angry, which is the emotion saying you need to speak up. And then you try and speak up, but you may botch it, or you may not say the right words, and the anger doesn't fuse. You have to say the right words to diffuse the anger. You have to say the right words, because the right words will both name your problem, articulate it, and get them to back off. And if you don't get that right combination of words, if you don't articulate it properly, it's not going to work. And you're going to stay angry. You might even get more angry because now you're getting frustrated, and frustrated is anger. They're very, very closely linked. So I get it still, especially putting yourself here on social media. When you put yourself out there, there's a lot of people who are just commenting, and it's perspective abuse. Oh, that's so common. But now I can recognize it. So I have a lot of little things happening. One of the things that I love doing is predator dating. Oh my God, do I love predator dating. Predator dating is part of my goddess training. It's part of my warrior woman series, where it's, let's talk about the shitty ass dating thing that's happening right now. Ew. And why and where it's going and why it's the way it is. I actually talked a lot about it this morning. So I have a new video if you want to take a look at that. And that one's really like, it's fresh in my mind. And it's like, whoa, like the gap is happening. There's a gender gap happening. And I explain it in the video. But I get these men who message me on Facebook. Now, men like to think that every one of them is a scammer. And that's not true. I would say, because I've been scammed. And they talk a certain way. They do things differently. And I would say probably 3 out of the 50 men who have messaged me this month, 3 of them were scammers. The rest were legitimately wanting dates. As if Facebook, cold messaging a stranger is the way to pick up a woman. That is how desperate or uneducated they are, which is a red flag. That they're using a cold DM on Facebook to try and pick up somebody. So I'm sitting here, and at first I was very nice. I don't like nice. Nice is not nice. Nice is bad. Nice is bad. Read Not Nice by Dr. Aziz Gazipura. Phenomenal book. So there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, that's not nice. You really need to read Dr. Aziz Gazipura's Not Nice. It's a mouthful. He says a lot. I don't need to repeat any of it because he says it so well in there. So go read that book. I walked away from that book with a real clear, nice is different than good. Thank you, Sondheim. So I'm sitting here looking at it going, all right, I throw out the nice. I have these men, most of them are predators. Most of them are narcissists who reach out. Almost every time they reach out, it's an insult. Either they're telling me I'm pretty. Yes, that's an insult. It is a fucking insult to introduce yourself as a stranger to a stranger with telling her how pretty she looks. Could you be any more shallow? Could you demoralize me any more than you possibly can? Like, no, no. It is an offense when someone starts a conversation with telling you how pretty you are. So it works on mentally ill women. It doesn't work on intelligent and healthy women. And intelligent, healthy men know this and don't do it. Only the mentally ill do that. It's like this massive red flag where you can tell if someone's mentally ill just by the way they start up a conversation. The fact that there are, so this is where I'm going to go psychologist here on you. So there are stages of affection and stages of social advancement that we all go through on a textbook status. We're supposed to go through A, B, C. We do this with physical, we do this with verbals. And a lot of the stuff that's supposed to take place around stage 9 is now happening at stage 1 and 2. So this is a huge red flag to somebody who has studied psychology that they are not mentally wealthy. That the reason why they are doing stage 8 and 9 behavior at stages 1 and 2 is because they are desperate, insecure, controlling, narcissistic. Red flags. So now I get a lot of these men coming at me, strangers, shoving stage 8 and stage 9 societal expectations at me from a psychological standbook, and I'm going, wow. Now, how do I handle this? I've been nice. In fact, nice is what got me raped every time. So I'm going, all right, so what is the next? Because nice doesn't work. I'll use boundaries. Now, I've used boundaries. I went through in the stage 8, I went through I'm going to use my boundary stage. And I used my boundaries. And I promptly watched them get rude and attack me, which I then copy, cut, pasted, took a screenshot, showed it to people on Facebook, publicly displayed them and said, by the way, this is what boundaries look like. And I got a lot of women going, oh my God, thank you for showing me this. And I went, interesting. Apparently women like to see this shit so they can A, know that they're not alone, and B, know how to handle it properly. And I always include a breakdown on this is how it's done. This is how it's handled. And then I promptly run over here and I do predator dating. That's actually how predator dating got started. And I went back and within a couple hours, I had another guy messaging me and being rude and attacking me. So I then went through the say as little as possible, don't even acknowledge them, but I got to play with psychology because that's what I do. And now I have a disclaimer. I love my disclaimer. And I'll have some guys who will just message me, never spoken to me before, and they will introduce themselves with, hey, beautiful. Oh, we don't do that. No. No. Fourth perspective, we do not do that. So he messages me, and I went right to it of, no. I gave him my little disclaimer, which had he read my Facebook page, he would have seen. And then he summarizes it with, I don't understand. Yes, because you are too unevolved to talk to me. Go away. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm exploring this to see how effective. Now, I noticed a few things. First, I am realizing that I am verbalizing, I am naming, I am using my boundaries, and I am articulating it. This is not for him. This is for me. Basically, if you are stupid enough to approach me on an archaic dating process that you shouldn't even be using because it reeks of your mental illness, then, you are going to be so turned into my guinea pig for psychology. Bottom line. If you are addressing me as a stranger, if a stranger decides to approach me with that kind of intention right off the gate, they're going to be pulled into my psych experiments of let's go ahead and try this. But I'm not doing it for them. I'm not playing with their behavior to see how they respond. I already did that a long time ago. I'm doing it for me to see what feels good for me because I have had no practice with boundaries. And what better way to try this but on a bunch of narcissistic assholes? So I'm going, you know what? In the words of Negan, if you're not going to work with me, you're going to work for me. So, yeah, it's this really wonderful taking this opportunity. And they get a great lesson in the word no, which they don't like to hear anyway because they're narcissists. So I'm able to practice using my boundaries in a very healthy, safe setting to see which boundaries get the job done in my subconscious mind. So I can then tell you, this is how you properly set down a boundary. Because it's really, really important that you name and precisely identify what the issue is. Part of the problem I had at first was, now, are these a client? Is this a client? eh, to be blunt, I don't attract men at all. I almost never get men attracted to any of my material. It's mostly women. Literally, my rates are 98% women. That is my demographic, and 2% men. Now, I know I have men in the audience, which is why I do a majority of talking to women because that's who's at my door. And yeah, I don't really care what gender you are, but just keep in mind that I have a 98% demographic of women. So as a result, I say she a lot. I refer a lot to women here. And I know that there's legitimately men out there who want to learn how to do this right, and they're just copycatting. And yeah, like if you're legitimately, I want to do a how to date properly for men. And I will definitely be doing this. This is something I'm very, very excited about. It's something I'm very, very passionate about is explaining to men, look, this is how it's done. Because the way it's done, the way you were taught, does not work. And you have no idea what it's like for a woman. And because you don't understand a woman's perspective and what she has to go through, like some men get it. Some men are like, wow, women are really fucking abused and preyed on. And they don't get it. And it's absolutely out of control. No one's talking about it and it's unchecked, which is why I love digging into this shit. But that all being said, you have to name it and define it in a way that when you are done setting your boundary, you have to feel like you have the authority. That is the point of a boundary, is leaving you with the authority. So boundary setting must include identification and authority. Now, the identification is a little harder because the point of the identification part with a boundary is you are literally reasserting with yourself that you have the ability to perceive the situation as it is. That is what you are doing when you are giving a boundary. You are assessing what the situation is. You are deciding. Literally, it's assess and then it's decide. You are assessing what the boundary is. You are deciding what the situation is. Well, you're assessing the situation, you're deciding the situation. You have concluded what the situation is. Yes, it is this tedious. And after you've concluded it, you then have to select the appropriate action. And then you have to execute that action. So every time you set a boundary, you are having this conversation with your defense system, with your communication system, with your identity, and with your perspective. You are asking the question, what is the situation? You decide the situation is this. Now it's the question, do you believe in your own conclusion? How much do you stand by your own conclusion? Self-doubt, gaslighting throws all of this out the window, which is why setting a boundary is so important. This is the psychology of setting a boundary. And then from there, you have to determine what the appropriate response is to this situation. And then you have to have the courage to stand up and say no. And you have to do it in such a way that these 5 points get executed. This is not easy. This is not easy. This is why it is so hard to set a boundary. And when you've got some asshole, a stranger gaslighting you, and you've been conditioned to be obedient all your life, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's going to be hard. It's not easy. This is what you're up against. You have to overcome self-doubt. You have to overcome all the gaslighting. You have to overcome the fear of survival. You have to overcome the fear of communication. And then you have to assess, decide, conclude, decide the appropriate action, execute. That's a lot. That is overwhelming, a lot. And when you do that, you immediately get authority. You get confidence. You get pride. You get self-esteem boosted up. You go, wow, look at that. I can protect myself. I can do it. I mean, this is really ripping apart the psychology of boundaries. It is a big deal. And you go into therapy, you go into all of these different programs, and they're like, just set down boundaries, just say no. Oh, good God. And you're going, why can't I do it? Why? This is why. Because it's not easy. It is not easy. Don't ever let anyone think. Don't ever let anyone think. I'm going to say this right. Give me a minute. Don't ever let anyone tell you that setting boundaries is easy, because it's not. It is not. Because it is you versus your subconscious mind, and it is you versus the outside abuser. And you have to do some really intense analytical, logical work under pressure in a short period of time while your subconscious mind is turning against you. And you're probably confused. You are probably combating confusion as well. And the only way to get through this is literally practice. Understanding the psychology of a boundary, breaking it down, understanding what it is you're actually doing, and then practicing this. So I'm going to give this to you again. It's going to be down below. So just copy, cut, paste it, but practice this. Assess the situation. Decide what the situation is. Conclude on the best way of handling it, or make a conclusion on what the situation is. Make an appropriate, or decide on an appropriate action. And that's going to be trial and error. I'm not going to lie to you on that. It will be trial and error. You are going to go through this thousands of times before you figure out which one works and which one doesn't. And you're going to fail at first. And then you're going to have to actually execute it with the right words. That's going to be trial and error. Every one of these stages is trial and error. Eventually, you will master each and every step. I am still working on this. I have gotten to the point where I can now assess the situation with mastery. I can decide that the situation is what I think it is with mastery. I am able to conclude the best course of action, which is in almost every case, you say something appropriate. That is where I'm working it out. So I have 1, 2, and 3 mastered, and I'm still trying to work out what is the appropriate response where I feel validated, I have claimed my authority, and I've shut them down. Now I've got the execution down. I'm finally over the execution part. But they don't talk about this. What everyone else is talking to you about is, oh, just execute. Just execute. Just do it. It's easy. Just do it. What the fuck am I doing? So this is the psychology on boundaries. Like this is gold. This is like, here, women, eat this. You need this. I'm going to have a lot more material on this. I'm going to have I need to get together like a worksheet to walk you through this. If you have any questions on how to break this down even further, let me know. If you need help pulling yours apart, like what is the best thing to say, if what's appropriate. Now, I'm going to explain to you what I did. I did 2 things. First, I went on a dating site because, hey, you got all these subjects. And it started off with just saying no, just saying no, just saying no, and getting comfortable saying no. Just getting comfortable saying no to them. And that allowed me to execute, okay, I'm going to speak up. And I did this. Oh my God. And then I learned what I could expect. I learned that the word no was a fantastic way to determine if a man was a narcissist or not. If you say no to a man and he says anything other than, I'm sorry, apologies, he's an asshole. Why? Why not? Red flag. Red flag. I need to show you the red flags of narcissists. Yeah, this is huge. I'm so glad I did this video. So psychology of boundaries. So I'm going to go ahead and write this up. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like shit like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if any of this resonated with you, go ahead and click on the link below. Tell me which video you watched and which part resonated with you. And I will be in touch shortly to tell you what else we have available for you in line of what resonated with you. And take a look at my Linktree account because it's cool. All right. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.